This was a demon.
Alright, that's it.
Hey everybody, it's the Shade, back to another video, and this video would not be possible without this lady and her just amazing YouTube video that just so happened to catch my eye about the Warrens, and I'll link her in the pinned comment. Really good work, and
Check Lindsay Ivan's channel out, it's good.
I want to make it perfectly clear that I know Ed and Lorraine Warren are pioneers. If not for them, all ghost hunting, especially like the early days, Zach Bagans and Taps, and even before them, none of these shows wouldn't even exist had it not been for Ed and Lorraine Warren doing their investigations, working hard to pave the way for all of them. So you have to have respect for that. But when you put things out in public, like videos or photos, or do interviews for the public on television, you're not above criticism either. Nobody is. Let's go. I've done YouTube long enough to know the storm of Ed and Lorraine Warren fans that are going to be coming out of the woodworks, saying that I'm jealous or blah blah blah, they did this, you've done nothing, blah 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 blah. I already know, and I'm going to try to keep it as respectful as I possibly can.
You should always show respect to the ones that paved the way for all ghost hunters. You should show love and care. Or be honest, be yourself, and put your opinions out there, and do your thing like you're supposed to do, you absolute buffoon.
Well, let's get into this video.
Today, let's take a look at some of the scariest found footage of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Ed the Demonologist.
This was a demon.
Now, thanks to Boo Productions Toledo, who I'll link down below as well, we know how hard it is to become a demonologist. You know, not much harder than getting a fishing license. I want to make it really clear that, like I said, it's not that I have respect for Ed and Lorraine, but this is one of those cases where not just everything's a ghost, but everything's a demon as well. Literally.
Starting off this countdown, we have the haunted house. In this clip, the Warrens talk about a haunted house that they visited and the creepy things they encountered while they were there.
Had been doors open through Ouija boards.
That's what I was wondering.
But unlike most times, we do not condone the use of Ouija boards. We know that people fooling with Ouija boards open doors that can never be closed.
Well, guess who was using that Ouija board?
Then there was a boy, and the boy was 8 years old. Now that girl was coming over to care for that boy, and he was in like a canning closet.
Coal cellar.
Oh.
Like a coal
Well, they
cellar.
put up-
And the boy had communicated on the Ouija board with them regarding what he witnessed.
So apparently back in the day, 3 women used to live in that house and their mother. While they were living there, they were actually haunted by a ghost that was killed in their home back in the day. They would see apparitions of this young girl smiling. But then all the other women started seeing the ghost as well. And in one case, she actually spoke to her.
I believe there was a conversation between them.
There was a conversation between the two of them, and then this dark form, who we believe to be the person who had perpetrated this, of this man, and the girl ran and hid.
The Ouija board had opened up the door to the spirit realm, and those spirits had actually come back into the house and are haunting it.
I got it from here, girl.
You guys know how I feel about Ouija boards. I don't necessarily believe in them, but I don't want one in my house either. Just, you know, in case that slight chance, you do it too. Don't sit there and act like you don't. Now, I didn't really have much to add on this whole Ouija board. It's a he said, she said, they said, nothing, none of it's provable except word of mouth. And it could be true, but then again, people lie.
Here is an image that the Warrens took while they were on the property.
Oh, we're digging in these really old photos and old videos, and man, there is a treasure trove of goodness here. See, back then they didn't have the benefit of, you know, being able to turn up the contrast and tweak the brightness and examine it with good detail, which we can nowadays. So you got to give them a little bit of slack. And like that picture, people say back then, oh, you couldn't fake a photo back then. But yeah, you could. You could if you knew your way around a camera and film everything from double exposures to artifacting, everything. This picture itself, let's hear what Ed has to say about it.
Well, that's the electromagnetic energy that a spirit will gather to manifest itself. And what it's creating here is what we call a psychic light rod.
Don't be mean, don't be mean, Shape, don't be mean, just be. Now, electromagnetic lightning rod blast of energy is what Ed said, of some sort like that. Now, you look at the picture and you think, well, I mean, it could be, but Ed, he really goes into detail on through the video as well about, and when I say detailed, it's almost like he don't even know what he's talking about. And I'll point that out in the future. Now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. To me, I look at it and I say, hey, that is either bad lighting for that camera or just a camera malfunction. But a psychic light rod super blaster. Could be.
The ghost also manifested itself into orbs as well.
Granted, can I debunk this picture that I'm getting ready to show you? Not necessarily, no. But the picture is taken outside, and we all know what's outside, especially at nighttime. Dust, insects, flying insects, dust particles, different kinds of little particles that look like little orbs. And this picture shows what appears to be thousands. So that, or 10,000 ghostly apparitions, weigh your options.
The Amityville haunting.
Now, this is probably the most controversial paranormal case of all time. On November 13th of 1974, Robert Butch Defoe,
I'm not the grammar police. I shouldn't be talking about grammar because I say words that ain't even in the dictionary. You know, I just got that country boy slang, and I get it, but I do try to get names right. And I'm not throwing off on this lady here for getting the name wrong, but it's pretty high profile. I mean, she said his name was Ronald Butch Defoe. Butch was Ronald's nickname. Butch, not Butch. I mean, have you ever went to the meat market and said, yeah, where's the meat butcher? Not, well, maybe, well, I could be wrong, but Defoe, his last name was DeFeo, or DeFeo. They're similar, but you gotta switch them letters around. I know it's a nitpick, but it's a pretty high profile case.
Took the lives of his parents and his 2 brothers and 2 sisters. The house was then put up for sale, and the Lutz family moved in.
Come on, boy. Butch Defoe, you're garbage.
And apparently, the demon that got Butch to do the horrific deeds started to attack their family as well. And one time, a demonic face with red glowing eyes was seen looking into their house.
I know it's easy to say, well, I don't believe anything the Lutz people say. They lied to make money and to write a book and all that stuff. And I could easily say that as well, but I'm not going to. And the reason why I'm not going to is, even though I don't believe a word they said, You can't really prove it, even though people moved into the Amityville house after they did and said they hadn't, nothing paranormal happened. That makes you think, obviously. But could it been for monetary gain? I'll let you decide.
The Warrens went to investigate and confirmed that the house was haunted.
Yeah, over the years they confirmed a lot of hauntings. Most times it's even a demon. I don't know that they ever went to a place and said, no, this ain't haunted at all. I've never seen them document that. I could be wrong, but I've never seen that documented. Oh, we went there. There was nothing there. You know what I mean?
Now, I'm pretty sure you've seen this viral photo of what appears to be a ghost boy peering out of the corner.
It's in the upstairs bedrooms. Just to the left there, you see what looks like a small boy's face looking out with bioluminescent eyes. This was the room of one of the young boys who was murdered there.
Isn't that
Now,
eerie?
a lot of people would say, well, is that the spirit of the young boy? No, it is not the spirit of the young boy.
Oh, it's not the spirit of a young boy? Really? So it's not a ghost? It's an actual boy?
But it is a diabolical spirit.
Demons everywhere.
That photo had always given me the creeps, and I didn't know it was an evil spirit. I thought it was like an innocent ghost boy.
You think that is an evil spirit, Ed?
Positively. Everything about this house was evil.
I've heard rumblings online that is an actual boy in the picture. Like either one of the investigators or somebody there documenting it, or just somebody there that was their kid. Now, I can't confirm it, but I've heard that. And I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it online. But I don't know.
They say this supposed to be the ghost, but they don't look similar to me.
Again, this case is controversial because a lot of people think that the family just made up the haunting to get rich. And
You mean people lie for money?
in number 8, we have the ghost in the cathedral. This is apparently another real-life ghost that the Warrens managed to capture on camera.
If you look at this slide now, I want you to see, don't point it out to them.
Don't do that.
Let them see where the man is. There's a man, he's right there in that picture.
This particular picture, I can't debunk. I think I see what they're talking about. If there was a ghost on a picture, I would think it would look like this. Can't prove it, but you can't disprove it.
Here's a close-up if you didn't manage to spot it.
Go to the next one. There he is. See, right in the corner, and you see him, and that's in the cathedral.
I clearly saw a man in a suit.
I'm just not seeing what they're seeing. Comment below if you see whatever they're seeing. Now I know what you're thinking. Shape, you haven't really debunked anything so far. You're just speculating. And you'd be right. But I got you.
The family in Connecticut.
What I'm about to show you is real footage from this case.
Real footage? Oh, from the case.
1 knock for yes, 2 for no. Are you a man? Are you a boy? You want the...
In past videos I've showed like camera intentions and how you set up your camera and what you put in the frame and what you leave out. Whoever's holding the camera, you can't see under the table. Anybody could have their hand under there pecking. We wouldn't know. Just saying.
People in this house to move. 1 knock for yes, 2 for no. Yes. Okay.
So the ghost was haunting their home and causing a scene because it didn't like the family's mother.
Granted, I think we all can relate. High five? No? Okay.
Who's it that you don't like the most here? Is it their father? Is it their mother? Oh my God. Okay.
The camera angle leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, look, who's operating this thing?
I can't necessarily disprove the knocks, but I've done this long enough, you guys would definitely know why I would question that, because we don't have enough to go on. We have one camera on top of the table that I guess Ed's holding or somebody's holding, but we can't see the whole table. We can't see under the table. But this next clip gets interesting.
Later on, Ed asks the ghost to give them a sign, and the kitchen chair moves back on its own.
You guys know how I feel about framing, and the whole bottom of the table's out of frame, and the shadow on the side of the refrigerator looks pretty fishy to me. Now, I know Ed is near the camera, if not holding it, but he doesn't act like he's scared of a table being pulled.
Do I have to point out the obvious here? The bottom of the table and chairs, it's not even in frame. That would make me question it right out of the gate. Even in any YouTube video, anybody faking it. That would be the first thing I look for. But what really stood out to me when I tweaked the contrast and everything is the shadow on the side of the refrigerator as the table moves. Now you could argue that the table moving, that was the shadow, but I don't think so. It looks taller. To me, it looks like somebody's standing there. It could be Ed, but it's moving as the table is moving. Now this next clip.
Give me some sign. Is that you moving something? Give me some sign that you're here.
Once again, bad framing. You can't see the bottom of the chairs and table, but that's not the important part. The important part is watch this camera shake right here.
Once again, I'm sorry that the camera footage ain't top quality, but this clip stood out to me. And the reason it stood out, you may have already seen it yourself, is when the table and chairs are being pulled, the camera, whoever's holding the camera or next to the camera jerks a little bit, as if, I could be wrong, but if you're pulling the table and the chairs, you're going to be, struggling a little bit against the weight, and that would throw your balance off. Now, if it's on a tripod and just pulling the table and chair made the whole floor shake and made the camera shake, you can make that argument. But let's look closer.
Either it's hard to pull a table and aim a camera at the same time, or the table's causing the camera to
In
shake.
this next interview with Ed and Lorraine Warren, they talk all about Annabelle.
One of the most famous would be Annabelle. This is a Raggedy Ann doll that's made like thousands of other dolls, except that this doll was used in communication, almost like having a seance.
A young nurse received the doll as a gift from her mother. She lived with a fellow nurse. The two worked together and they also lived together. Well, one morning the nurse brought the doll down and put it at the kitchen table to have breakfast with.
Come on, girl.
It was meant as a joke. She's like, ah, haha, look, this doll is having breakfast with us. The next day, she did the exact same thing. The next day, she did the exact same thing, and it kept happening.
If you know me at all, you know what I think about haunted objects. I mean, the Annabelle doll is the holy grail of haunted objects, in my opinion. There's been movies based on it, and the thing about it is, it can't be proven, and in a way it can't be disproven. But they make a lot of claims, but they don't back it with anything receipt-wise.
But the third morning, they're talking to the doll, and the arms of the doll are on the chair like this. Suddenly they went up and onto the table. Now this didn't frighten them.
Comment below, if a doll moved its arms in front of you, would it frighten you, or would you just sit there and go, wow, that's something?
There was a 6-year-old child by the name of Annabelle who was killed, but God does not allow the spirit of a child to go into a doll.
I think I know where this is going.
This was a demon.
Oh.
Well, you guys finally get a look at my new house as I jump in my time machine. Whoops.
Friends were all stationed around this woman on a cot. Suddenly, a loud bellowing. This was a demon.
Was this too much?
They'd leave the doll in the bedroom. They'd come home after midnight, put the key in the door, unlock the door, and who do you think is standing there?
Just imagine coming home and seeing that doll standing there perfectly upright.
You're right, that would be scary. Now also imagine a big metal burn barrel and gas.
The Warrens Museum.
Warren's Museum is filled with cursed and deadly objects that literally, if you touch them or do something wrong, they could possess you or kill you.
So Ed Warren said that God wouldn't allow a kid's soul to be put in a doll. That's what he said. However, God will allow a demon or something that can actually hurt a child or a human being. He'll let that into a doll though, right? Because that makes sense.
Many what we call death dolls here. The doll you see here was made through black magic rituals. It's called a doll of shadow. It has human bones here and there and animal parts all over the body.
Y'all leave that doll alone. Just saying like she's ugly or something like that. Come here. You make me sick. Come here. It's okay. You're beautiful. It's okay.
In fact, the way in which this doll was used is absolutely horrifying.
They take a picture of this doll, they send it to you, and they put the cursor on the back. You take it and you look at it and you laugh at it, but it's not a laughing matter. Because once you see the image of the doll, it can be projected telepathically to you in your dream state.
Now, I already know what I'm about to say is going to get a little bit of hate, but the nonsense that Ed Warren spews out of his mouth. Now, I'm sure he believes it, but there's no basis in reality to pretty much anything I've ever heard this man say. Because it's things that he says, like right out of the top of his head, and it's like he believes it, but it doesn't make it true, for one, and it mind-blowing.
But that's not all. Apparently this doll killed a number of people in their
Images of these dolls can be so frightening that they've actually stopped people's hearts during the dream state.
The scariest part is that the doll can never be destroyed.
You see, you must be very careful with a doll like this. You can never destroy it.
So Ed and Lorraine Warren thought it was a good idea to make a museum with all these deadly objects just so family and kids can come there and possibly lose their lives. Think about that.
Today we have the real-life vampires. According to Ed and Lorraine Warren, vampires are real.
Are there such a thing as vampires, and can you tell me an example of one?
Positively, vampires do exist, what we call human vampires.
I suppose he probably means cannibals, or just tell me it ain't the sparkly ones.
Back in 1953, in Old Greenwich Farm Cemetery, where the Calbani family had to open up a grave, and family member had died, and they were saving a little money by digging the grave themselves. But when they got down about 4 foot, they struck a coffin which shouldn't be there. It was their private plot. And inside was a man about 45 years old, and he was fresh to the touch as though he had just been buried.
Do we have any pictures, the before and after, just to substantiate this?
While the physical body is still alive, there's a silver cord, a supernatural cord, that emanates from the physical body to the astral body. No matter how far away that astral body goes, if you go 3,000 miles, that cord would still be attached.
That's what I'm talking about. He makes these bold claims that, and he can't substantiate any of it. He's always done that. A supernatural umbilical cord that's 3,000 miles long that hooks to the astral body. You see, that's how it works. And if that was Ed that just saw that flying insect right there, he would say that's a fairy. Man, that worked out perfect.
Apports.
This was a demon.
Dark entity. So it all began when a couple started to experience really dark paranormal activity in their house.
They heard all kinds of strange sounds and footsteps, and they'd hear banging, knocking.
So they decided to contact the Warrens for help to expel this evil spirit out.
Be gone, spirit.
When the Warrens investigated their property, they said that it was a very bad infestation.
Of course they did. That's what they always say.
Here is the ghost that they managed to capture on camera.
And this picture that you're going to look at right now, here's their ghost.
That was taken
Just to the right there. Just to the right there.
to the right.
Above the chair, right?
Right above the chair.
Right.
Thank you for telling us. I don't think we would have saw that big white mass right there.
And you can clearly see the outline of a ghostly person standing there. So imagine moving into a house that was owned by one family blood for so long, and then you come along totally not related, and the family members are like, who the hell are you? Get out.
The owners had been there for years and built the house.
Oh.
So the vibrations were really built up.
I do love how she looks at Ed to like back her up. She's like, looks over to him and he's like, oh no, you're alone on this one, honey pie.
Providence Ghost Man.
The next ghost that they're talking about is the ghost of a World War II soldier.
There's once a house, and in that house lived a couple during World War II.
His wife was informed that he was killed in action, not even missing, that he was actually killed in action.
And then a week later, she committed suicide.
So the wife was informed that her husband was dead and she couldn't bear to live without him, so she took her own life.
And 1 week after that, he was found alive.
That's kind of like Romeo and Juliet. Really eerily close.
And then they're like, oops, sorry, he's actually alive. My bad. No? Now it's said that both of the ghosts are attached to that home, and no one has ever moved in since. Here is an image of what is said to be the ghost of the husband.
Now that looks like a man,
Yes,
but we have other photographs which look like a woman.
yes, we do.
So where you have one spirit, you have many
more
other
than
spirits.
one, yes.
And once again, had I taken a picture of a ghost, that this would kind of be what I would think that it would look like, right? But this image, to me, looks like this was a little bit of trickery, just because of how humanly shaped it is. And it don't blend well in the environment. It stands out too much.
Male or female, how can you tell? Oh, White Lady of Union.
Well, Ed was very determined to capture her on tape. So in the summer of 1990, Ed apparently camped out in the cemetery for a week. Here is that footage.
Finally, some evidence. Unimpressive evidence, but hey, it's Ed Warren with the camera. You know, that's what the shape was made for. It's this kind of footage.
1760.
And then it cuts to nighttime and things get spooky. You see in the distance the lady dressed in white walking towards the camera, and then she sort of disappears into the darkness.
Filmed on a potato. Thank goodness the spirit wore white clothing, because we would have never saw anything on this potato of a camera. Now to me, you look at this, you're like, well, that's a spirit. Who else would be in a cemetery that late besides Ed Warren?
I'm going to give Ed some slack. I mean, this is really old footage. So back then the cameras, they weren't great, okay? The classic ghost wearing, oddly enough, bright white clothes. That way you can spot them better on camera. Not to say Ed staged this. I couldn't prove it. But it also doesn't look like a ghost to me. It looks like an actual person that's there. And once again, no, I can't prove it. What's up? Starting to get mad. I gotta debunk something.
In this next video, we see Ed and Lorraine Warren talking about Anna Eklund. Anna Eklund was an American woman who in 1928 became possessed and underwent a number of exorcisms. So let's see what Ed and Lorraine Warren had to say about this case.
Now this woman was under possession by her own father.
She was possessed by her father? Well, at least Ed didn't say the other one.
And devils. From the age of 14. The father hated her. He hated her so much that when he died, he actually possessed her with these devils.
The haunted bed and breakfast.
clip features a woman named Addie who shares her story of living in a haunted house. When she moved in, she didn't even know the house was haunted, and the hauntings didn't even begin until one random day. And obviously, when spooky things started to happen, she contacted the Warrens. Now,
And of course, the Warrens went there and they were like, oh man, this place is infested by evil spirits and stuff. This specific evil spirit is a 10-foot tall, slender man looking thing with 8 arms, 8 legs, with an umbilical cord that attaches to its astral body that's on another continent.
That time, Addie was running it as a bed and breakfast.
But trouble only began happening when Addie started to renovate the house.
When you start to do things where you're making renovations in a home, that is enough to trigger off spirit phenomena. Where a ghost had once been able to walk through a doorway in a certain area, and now that doorway no longer exists.
Yeah, I see how that could bother a ghost. Like, they're used to going through a doorway that's right here, but once you renovate and move the doorway over here, I could see how that would cause problems. Oh wait, no I can't. Ghosts walk through walls.
In this footage, you see Ed and Lorraine Warren discussing a number of cases where they caught photographic evidence of ghosts. The first case that they talk about revolves a woman named Gail Martin. Basically, Gail moved into a house and for the longest time, nothing spooky happened. Then one day, she was digging in her backyard when she was gardening. Her husband took a photo of her doing so, and when it developed, you could see a white silhouette of a ghost.
Now, you see that Gail is higher than that woman. Gail is on a pile of dirt.
Now they said this was the photograph of a ghost woman, and by looking at it, I don't know how you could say that, to be honest. But I think I can debunk this one.
She's up and she's digging, and the woman is looking down at her.
Then we have a second photo taken of Gail that same day.
Pay close attention to both photographs. Sometimes we're lucky enough to get enough to work with, like this one. 2 photos instead of 1. You would be surprised what you can take from each photo and actually make sense.
That was taken just moments after the first one, and Gail is smiling because her husband is saying something funny. The woman is smiling, and she puts her hand up to her mouth in that manner. These are 2 exceptionally remarkable psychic photographs.
And she looks like an elderly woman who would dress that way. They used to put the
house coats over their dressing gown, yes.
It's amazing what, if you have enough to work with, what you can actually catch. We have photo A and photo B taken a couple of minutes apart. Doesn't matter which one was taken first. Does not matter. What matters is what's in the pictures. And I don't know how they know it's a ghost woman, but that doesn't matter. They're in the picture. There's 2 wheelbarrow handles, and you can see them plain as day, especially when you tweak the contrast and stuff. There's a tree there in one picture to the left, okay? And then the second picture, you can see that same tree, but the photographer has moved in front of them. And I'll show you in detail, but that makes the tree that was on the left, now the tree's on the right, and the wheelbarrow handles, that's a good point of reference as well, is on the right. Now, I bring this to you because I saw something pretty interesting. This photo's fake. They know that whatever this is in the photo, they know it's there. I don't know what kind of cloth it's made out of. It could be a bed sheet, a pillowcase, some kind of fabric. And I think I can prove that it's fabric. Because, like I said, nowadays we have technology where we can tweak the contrast and stuff and the brightness, and you can see a lot. Let's take a look in depth.
Let's orient ourselves. Picture 1, and a few seconds later, picture 2 was taken. Now that tells you a lot. You can see the wheelbarrow handle in picture 2 and the wheelbarrow handle there. That gives us a good idea. There's the tree. And there's the same tree. Now we got something to work with. That means the photographer was standing here to take the second picture, which is this picture, which shows the ghost on the left and the girl on the right. There's that tree. There's the wheelbarrow handles. There's the wheelbarrow handles. There's that tree. There's the same tree. There's where the cameraman was. What blows my mind is that you could tell this is fabric. Look at the bottom of it. That's not a ghost. That's not energy. You can see straight lines of fabric. Energy doesn't make straight lines like this. Not visually. And you can't see through these things either. I don't know what kind of fabric it is. Could be a bed sheet. Could be a pillowcase for all I know. I just know that's what this is. Also, when you tweak the contrast and stuff, you can see this. And this black spot. That is a wooden stake. Or what I presume is made of wood. But it stands out. They put this fabric on a wooden stake and stuck it in the ground. And here's both ghosts. Like I said, energy does not leave sharp, crisp lines like fabric does.
Now let's head on down to the Warrens Occult Museum.
The most haunted area in the world. That's what I would say.
I would say that it is one of the most haunted areas because of the many things here, Tony.
I can only imagine the nonsense that Ed Warren is about to spew here.
These are all things that you then would consider evil, Ed?
Oh, positively.
He also tells stories of people that have died or have been severely injured after fooling around in their museum. Again, shouldn't be a museum then, open to the public.
Exactly. Exactly right. Give a clap up for this YouTuber. Exactly right. See? Makes you think, doesn't it? Oh, they probably had to sign some kind of waiver. And you probably do, but I just don't understand. Even if you did, and it was proven that a ghost spirit killed you, which has never been proven in any case ever at this museum, still makes you think.
In fact, this is not a building that you should be in after 9 o'clock at night. From 9 to 6 are the psychic hours.
Like I said, you just never know what comes out of Ed Warren's mouth. 9 to 6 is the witching hours. How do you know that, Ed? Enlighten us, please. What made you come to this conclusion that those hours are when they're most active? Go ahead, please.
Many of the objects in this room here have had dire effects on people. People have been maimed, have been killed. People have wound up in mental institutions because of many of the things they write in this building here.
I respect the Warrens, they're pioneers.
This was a demon.
Make no mistake about it. I was being honest when I told you guys that I respect them. But that's not to say stuff that they say and do and claim is nonsense. Mostly Ed. Because even though, he's a demonologist and probably a vampire hunter, I don't know. But he's got a lot of knowledge in the field of paranormal. But he gets into specifics that you can't prove. And there's no way he could have proven it either. Like, this right here, this thing on camera right here is a lightning rod, supernatural, magnetic, blah, blah, blah. And the ghost had a 2,000 mile long umbilical cord of something attached to the astral. He talks nonsense. He don't even know what he's talking about, but I believe he believes what he's saying, but it doesn't make him right. It's like Terrence Howard saying 1 times 1 equals 2. It's nonsense. I don't know, people. But man, I really enjoyed making this video for sure. Comment below what your thoughts are. And like I said, I respect them. I respect them wholeheartedly. And maybe I come off a little mean sometimes, but part of it's just trying to entertain you guys, and part of it is just me being me and the way I see things. Doesn't make me right either. But I call nonsense when I see it. It just blows my mind what people say and what they claim is paranormal. That's why I'm so glad I made this channel. And I'm definitely super thankful that the community of you guys so amazing and supportive and amazing debunkers. You guys. But there's amazing debunkers, but I mean, you guys are the number one. It ain't me and Side-Eye Guy or Crow Judas Beardo, none of us. It's you guys. You guys make everything. A ghost pulled my... I'm just kidding. I love you guys. I appreciate you. And there's a hidden word in this video. Y'all come back now. You hear? Peace.